Hello everyone, welcome back. We are in my car today, so you likely know what that means. We're going antique shopping, but today we're not going to a specific store. We are going to Lucketts Antique Market. It's an outdoor market with, I think, over like 200 vendors. It's supposed to be one of the best antique markets on the East Coast. Lucketts has a store in Northern Virginia, like an actual antique store you can go visit, but twice a year they do this outdoor market, and I've never been before, but I've known about it for years, since even before I moved out to the East Coast, because some of the designers that I personally love, like Lauren Lease, one of my favorites, I know she's been in the past and I've seen it on her Instagram, and she gets items from clients from there, so I know it must be good, and I love antiques, so I'm gonna be happy either way. My mother-in-law is coming with me, so I just have to go pick her up, and then we can go do some antique shopping. Right off the bat, these booths were incredible. This first one, as soon as you walked in, had a ton of beautiful wood pieces. I think I overheard her talking to someone else and saying she brings a lot of her items back from Scandinavia, and they definitely look it. There were some beautiful coffee tables that were exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a round version for my sitting room project that I've been working on. She had some beautiful dining tables that are perfect for homes with kids that see a lot of wear and tear on the table. Like, your story would just add to the beautiful story that these pieces already have. And she also had some really unique wood seating pieces, like this wood lounger, but she had more than just beautiful furniture. She also had some amazing decor. There's this wooden wheel that has an iron base, and it looks exactly like what I want to do with my stone whetstone that I have. There's these beautiful cloche bases that would work great as a tray all on their own, or you could find a glass cloche to go on top. Some beautiful pottery, just a ton of old world finds that are exactly like the things I like to put in my home. But she was not the only booth that had beautiful pieces in this style. There was this one here that's based out of Pennsylvania, and I can't wait to make a trip up to visit their store. And another one at the other end of the market that's based out of High Point, North Carolina. If you've heard of High Point Market, it's the largest home furnishings industry trade show in the world. And this booth has a retail location located right next to where they host that market. They had pieces like this huge cast iron wok that they had turned into a fire pit. I wish I would have waited before getting a fire pit for my backyard, because this was stunning. They had a ton of smaller wabi-sabi style pots and a couple of larger ones like this one on a little iron base. I loved these huge limestone bowls. I've been looking for bowls like this for a while online and have had a hard time coming across them, but there were several booths that had these stone bowl tray things. And even they had some of these wooden wheels on a little iron stand. I need to find somebody to help me make an iron stand for mine, because seeing these just reinvigorated my vision for my whetstone, like I said. But there was just a ton of beautiful rustic decor that would add a ton of character to your home. And I was just so inspired, not just by the stuff in my style, but a ton of other booths that just gave me so many fresh styling ideas. This vendor, which actually has a booth at the Lucketts Store in Leesburg, Virginia, that had a bunch of turtle shells and these stands that look very reminiscent of some that I've seen on Zara Home. And they showed it displayed like this, which reminds me so much of some styling that I've seen Lauren Lease do, as well as Morehouse Design in their Vintage Brutalist project. There was so much beautiful pottery in all sorts of different sizes. Some of the pieces that some of these vendors have look very similar to ones I've seen online on Etsy or even Amazon, but a lot of the prices at this show were either really comparable or even a little bit more affordable than what I've seen online, which usually I would expect it to be the other way around. So it was a pleasant surprise to find so many beautiful pots, because you all already know how much I love ceramics. Yes, I did get some pots at this show, and you will get to see those at the end. But even taking pieces like these mustard and jam jars and making candles in them I thought was so unique. I have one that looks just like these and I would have never thought to do that in it. And the booth that was selling them even had some empty ones where you could go and make your own candle and your own scent if you wanted. And I just love the idea to not just have them as a decorative purpose, but reuse them for a functional one as well and give them a new life. Similarly, I saw a lot of booths use some vintage crocks as plant pots. I always put dried or faux stems in my crocks, but for some reason, I've never thought to put a live plant in them, even though they are waterproof. So I'm so happy for the inspiration they provided, as obvious as it should have been to me. And even with little metal pots like this, I come across cast iron and brass ones just like these all the time that look beautiful with a plant in them, and they're a different material than the ceramic ones. I was so happy to see these spools with ribbon on them. Places like Anthropologie do this. I think it's a great way to add a more modern ribbon in with a vintage touch for a really curated blended look that is just beautiful. And I came across these slate trays here. I have the slate coasters from Target, but I loved this larger version that would be beautiful for putting a candle on or sitting a plant on top of, or putting in a bathroom for your Q-tips and a little vase with flowers. Like, I thought this would make a beautiful tray. And they also just had a ton of beautiful decorative pieces that are just meant to look pretty and you don't have to reuse them in a practical way, like some busts. There is this beautiful one that would be a great size for shelf styling, or another smaller one here that would look great nestled in a vignette. Your decor is a great way to show your personality in your space. Even something a little bit more conceptual, like if you know your zodiac sign, representing that in your space, like there's a brass crab here if you're a Cancer, or down below there's a brass lion if you're a Leo. Like, you would know what that meant in your house through your decor, but it's not so obvious to people who come in. It's just a fun item for them. I think things like that, just little touches that have random meaning you've assigned to them, is just such a fun way to go about decorating your house. But in addition to beautiful decor, they had so much beautiful furniture. Like, I wish my budget coming to this on this day would have been so much bigger, because I would have needed the biggest U-Haul available, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, to get all of the beautiful furniture home that I wanted from this market. Particularly, I loved this apothecary cupboard. I loved the hardware on them and how the drawers were labeled with these ceramic nameplates. It was all in French and it looked like they were labeled for like seed packets or something like that. I don't know. I thought this piece was absolutely beautiful. This piece here was made out of an old rope bed. They took the bed frame and turned it into the legs and supplemented it with some other walnut that they sourced and turned it into a potting table. I loved this piece and want something exactly like this when I do my greenhouse in my backyard. If you caught my landscape planning video, so I got this lady's number and told her when I'm ready to do that project, she will be my very first call, because they do pieces like this all the time. When it came to this piece, I asked her if it had always been a mirror, or if at one point it was maybe a door frame that had been converted into a mirror, because that's kind of what it looked like. And she didn't know the answer, but she did agree that it could have at one point been a door frame. Either way, it was beautiful. And she also had this coffee table very similar to the other booth that I saw that is exactly what I'm looking for. But unfortunately, the lady running the booth has a very similar style to me, because she had already bought it, or else this piece absolutely would have come home with me, because it was beautiful and exactly what I'm looking for. One thing I liked about the market as a whole is that they kind of kept similar booths kind of near each other. So there was a ton of inspiration on one particular style done in different ways, concentrated in little hot spots throughout the market. And you could get pieces from a couple of the different vendors that all go together because their styles meshed really well. I particularly really liked this barn here with a super masculine style. There were like 3 or 4 vendors that had very like cigar lounge, Western vibes that I absolutely loved and reminded me of back home in Wyoming. And although we're located on the East Coast, we're not directly on the water, so I was kind of surprised at how many modern coastal booths there were. I mean, they were all beautiful and had great things, but there were just so many more than I was expecting. I really appreciated though that the coastal pieces that they had were super unique. Like, I don't normally see pieces like that in your retailers you can go to every day. Like, these felt very unique to the vendors selling them. I really like how this vendor did this table setting, and they did a mix of a new plate with a vintage plate on a new charger, but an antique table. Just the mix of old and new was so beautiful and layered, and I loved how they displayed that. In addition to leaving furniture behind, it was also hard to leave so much of this beautiful artwork behind. There were so many beautiful oil paintings in different kinds of landscapes. There's coastal landscapes, mountain landscapes, lake landscapes. Like, I just loved all of the landscape paintings that I found, but they also had some still lifes and some portraits of animals. I really loved these dogs and especially these little cows up here. Like, there was so much good artwork at this show. And even frames too. I really like to just buy frames sometimes and then later fill them with a sketch or maybe a newer piece of artwork or something. And I found a couple that I did not grab, and looking back at this footage, I am so mad I left behind, because this one here, I was so close to buying it and I don't know why I didn't, because it is stunning. And one last thing I was so surprised they had so many of were vintage rugs. Their rugs were in great condition. They were very fairly priced. Like, I was so impressed, and they were beautiful. If you remember when I framed a vintage rug and made a huge piece of artwork out of it, that piece might be a little too big for everyone's home. So a smaller size like these ones here would probably be a little bit more manageable for most people. And there were so many different vendors selling them. Even again, for a coastal style home, this blue and tan one underneath here on this table, I thought would look so beautiful framed in a coastal style home. Now, there were so many fun pieces at this show. I definitely did not get footage of all of it. I tried to be respectful of the other people looking around, so I didn't get everything, but even so, this video would be several hours long if I had, because they just had so many great pieces. I can't wait for you to see what I got. All right, I'm back, and we had the best time. It was so much fun. I almost did not go, but I'm so happy that I did. Like I said, I've known about this for years, and every time it comes around, I'm like, oh, I'll go next time. I'll go next time. And I'm glad that this was the time, because it was really nice. Now, I was a little nervous about it being a little picked over and there not being much, or the vendors kind of closing up early, because it's a 3-day event and we went on the last day in like the last 4 hours. So I was a little nervous about it, but there were still a ton of people there, both vendors and people shopping. Like, it was honestly kind of nice because it wasn't crowded like some of the vendors said it was on Friday and Saturday. So there was a little bit more breathing room. I could get some filming for you guys while still being respectful to everyone else there. And so we lucked out with the time that we went. I was pleasantly surprised that there was still a ton of stuff there. It was a great time. I made a lot of connections that I'm excited to check out their shops that they have locally, or some of them I'm even planning to travel a little bit for, and they have Etsy shops. I'll try to list any vendors in the description that I can for you guys, because they all had some great stuff, but I'm excited to show you what I got. Now, you all know that I cannot pass up on a good pot. So I found this one. I really loved the little detail along the edge here. It's a little dusty. But I love if you can see this little like fish scale detail along the rim here, and it has a little rim there, and like you can see where they pulled with the hand. Just some nice details. I really liked the shape of it. I like the top part here. It looked like it may have had a lid at one point, but it doesn't bother me that it doesn't anymore. Of course I love the color brown, but mainly the shape of this I thought was so cool. And I don't have anything in a shape like this. All my other stuff that's brown is more like Crocs. I don't have any like vases like this that are brown. So a great new piece to add to my collection and store in the empty spot in my cabinets back there that I cleared out in last week's video when I did my decor organizing. So I guess I get to fill that stuff up now. Now, these next two items I got at the same booth. The first one being this cement planter here. I love the aged look on it, the rough edge around the top, how that's not super even. Like, it is just a beautiful little planter. I love it. The vendor was mostly selling plants and these homemade pots, and then she also had like some fun cowboy boots that she was there selling too. But she was telling me about the whole mixture that she uses to create these, and with my deck makeover coming up here soon, I think it could be a fun DIY to do these in that video. But since she told me how she made them so that I could recreate them, I wanted to at least buy one from her. So that's where this guy came from. And I probably would have got one or two other ones because she had some cool shapes. But this was the only one with a drainage hole in the bottom. If you can see there, none of the rest had drainage holes. So anyway, I at least got one from her. And then in her same booth, it was her booth, but her friend was there helping her throughout the day. And I think the friend had one item that she was selling that she brought from home. And it was this quartz tray bowl thing. Like I was saying earlier, I was seeing a ton of stone bowls and plates like this throughout the show. A lot of them were limestone, and I have a really hard time finding them online when I've looked for them in the past. And this one, it was just sat underneath one of these planters, just like this, like a little drip tray, which looked beautiful. And the friend who had come just to sell this piece was telling me that she brought it because it's one she's had in her house for a while, and she just wanted to switch things up and brought it for somebody else to enjoy. And she had it marked at $10. Everywhere else at that booth was selling them for $50 and up. I did not see any for less than 50, maybe 40 bucks, but none less than 50. And the ones that were 50 were like 4 inches at least smaller in diameter than this guy was. So I definitely had to pick it up. Now I have been looking specifically for limestone, whereas this one's quartz, but the quartz is beautiful too. I love it just as much, and it just gives me an opportunity to keep looking for a limestone one. And you can see in this one here how it has a chip on the edge there, which, you know, I love a good piece of character in my pieces. So she said, I think she used this either for a plant drip tray or for like a bowl for your keys around your house. And I will use it for decorative styling, put a candle in it, napkins on a table for a place setting, something like that. But I loved it, and $10 for this. It's like at least 12 inches in diameter. Like that, I basically stole this from her. And she knew, I told her, I said, Miss Ma'am, do you know how much these sell for? And she was just happy that it was going to a home from somebody that was gonna love it. And they could tell, I was so excited, they could tell how much I was gonna love these pieces. So both of these from the same booth, love them very much. And in addition to the steal on that quartz tray, I also got a huge steal on this next piece. Do you see this? This thing is huge, just like talking next to it, and it's like echoing with my voice. Like, this is huge. I have seen these online on like Amazon or Etsy in this size for like 300, 350 bucks. Like these are expensive, like real expensive. And so when I saw this in the booth, it was like, there's this huge table and it was like styled in the middle with like a bunch of pampas grass coming out of it. And so I was looking around the booth and a lot of her items were super reasonably priced. It was the same one where the vendor, she bought the coffee table, or else I would have bought it. It was in that same booth and all of their stuff was super well priced. So I was just curious, just asking what they were charging for this because I couldn't find a tag on the outside. There was a bunch of stuff in it, so like I couldn't lift it up and look at the bottom. And so I was expecting her to say like over $300. And she couldn't find a tag, so she was like, I don't know, we probably have that listed at 105. And I screamed internally, and I was like, okay, thanks so much. We're gonna continue walking around, I'll be back. We walked around, the rest of the thing finished, went and got, and then once we were done, went and got a cart from the beginning, and I trucked it all the way back. She was all the way at the back of the whole thing. And I took that loud, squeaky cart from the front all the way to the back as fast as I could. We took, and I asked her just to confirm, I was like, how much did you say on this again? Were you able to find out? And she was like, I think I said 105. And I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna take it then. We take the pampas grass out, and there is the tag on the inside, and it says $265. And she was like, well, you're getting a steal on this because I said 105, so I can't go back on that now. And I was like, well, I would not blame you if you did, but I would not be able to get it if not. And so she very graciously sold it to me for the price that she said at 105. So I got this huge, huge pot for $105 instead of the normal like $300 retail price. And I have a smaller one of these. Let me go get it. That's this size that you may have seen me style with before. And I love it. It's my very, very favorite pot that I own. So I want more like this, but they are so expensive. Even this one was like $180, $211, something like that. And when I got this one off Amazon. It was like on a 70% off sale, and then I had some kind of rewards or something to redeem. So I got this one for like 45 bucks when it's normally like 200. This one I got for like 105 bucks when it's normally 300. Like, I have been lucky on my terracotta pots. My favorite YouTuber, Brandy Jackson, if you know, you know, she is the best stylist in my opinion. I love her. I love her style. I get so much inspiration from her, and she has several of these. And in her big one that is this size, she has like a tree, I think like a rubber tree or some kind of tall tree in her new apartment that she styled in it, which I think would look fantastic, and I can put it in the corner of my dining room, something like that. Or I was just thinking when I was restyling that cabinetry back there last week that I needed a larger, darker piece to like anchor on the side, and this one was just feeling too small. And I have a bigger pot that I was like nestling this with, but they kind of didn't go together. So now these go together beautifully, and this one's big enough it can stand alone if I want it, or whatever. You get the point. I am so excited about this find. This is one of my best antique finds I have ever found. Like, this thing is huge. I'm in love. I'm like this. I will be dreaming about this for weeks. Like, this is so good, so good. And then this very next piece, that is so big. It's like echoing as I have to move it. It's gonna throw me off. This next piece is another vase, but I didn't buy it for the vase because it is full of feathers. Now, I bought this exclusively for the feathers. I could care less about this vase. I mean, it's nice. It's just a little yellow. I don't mind like the orangey red color, but like it's very yellow. Doesn't match anything I have. So like this can go to somebody else who's gonna love it. And I exclusively bought this for these feathers. Now, I heard the booth owner talking to a lady nearby about it after I had as I was kind of circling, because she just wanted to buy 2 of the feathers, or she was asking if she could just have 2 of the feathers, because I don't know, she was concerned about them being ethically sourced, or she didn't want to buy a whole thing because she didn't want them to have killed a bird about it or something. And I had the same concern. I did not want that to be the case either, or I would not have bought them. But the guy would not just sell her 2 of them. And she just kind of was like, okay, well, whatever, moved on. And so I asked about, I was like, well, she was talking about the whole ethical thing, like where were they sourced? Did you kill a bird for this? Because there was a lot of taxidermy animals. There's the turtle shells that I showed in the video. I'd love to get one of those, but I felt kind of weird about it because I didn't get a chance to talk about where those were sourced from. But anyway, the guy who was selling these, he was like, no, I have geese, like I raise geese, and geese molt naturally several times a year. He told me all about his geese, that these feathers came from, and they are well and good. And it just happened, like this happened a couple days ago. We've had a ton of rain, and he's like, you have to get the perfect timing right to collect the feathers, or else like it rains and like the feathers are ruined, or something to do with the timing. And so it just so happened that his geese molted a few days ago, and now I have their feathers in my house, ethically sourced from some geese that are alive and well. And the reason that I got these, like I said, it was not for this vase, but for some other vases that I have. Like I have one here that I got on an antique trip several months ago, but I have a couple like this. I pulled this one out just as an example, but to go in a darker, more neutral vase, something like this, I thought looked really nice. It was like totally giving me like Sean Anderson vibes, which if you don't know, Sean Anderson is an interior designer based out of Memphis, Tennessee, and he always does things like that. Like I'll include a picture over here. He's another one of my favorite designers, like so good. His stuff is so moody and masculine and just so cool. Love him. And cool story, he's originally, I don't know if he's originally, but he started out his design career in Tupelo, Mississippi. I'm originally from Mississippi. I have a cousin who is graduating near Tupelo later this week, so I'm going to be making a trip down to Mississippi this upcoming week. I literally fly into Memphis tomorrow, so a fun little connection there between these feathers and Sean Anderson and myself that you probably don't care about, but I thought was kind of fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video coming antique shopping with me at Lucketts Antique Market. I'm so excited to go back in the fall, and I may get a whole weekend pass just so I can go back and really look at everything. And I'm gonna make sure I plan for my budget to be a little bit higher next time because they had some beautiful things. And speaking of my trip down to Mississippi this week, I will probably film a little travel vlog, probably do some antique shopping while I'm down there. I may do a tour of my grandparents' house and their garden if they're down for that, or they built their house themselves, so I may do a little interview. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna do a little travel vlog next week. There will probably be some more antique shopping, so if you're not subscribed, I hope you'll consider subscribing. If you want more antique shopping, I've got a whole playlist I'll link down in the corner there. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and letting me know in the comments if you've ever been to Lucketts Antique Market, or if not, what your favorite piece from this video was. Thank you so much for watching this video and coming antique shopping with me. Until next time, I am wishing you all my best.